let's fucking power athlete this thing up. Go to lean on our different approaches, power athlete training principles, and then let's get real creative to challenge movement with nothing more than an 80-pound bucket of concrete, a couple cinder blocks, or, whatever awkward, weird objects you got hanging around in the basement.
Well, I'd like to channel my inner Colonel Troutman with these programs. And one of my favorite quotes from Rambo's First Blood was, "A man who's been trained to ignore pain, ignore weather, to live off the land, to eat things that would make a billy goat puke." That is the motivation. Like, I want heavy, hard, awkward, difficult implements, things that are fabricated. I think I've told the story years ago. We were in Colorado, and or in the early days of the CrossFit football seminar, I used to give people an assignment to go home and to write a week of training, and then they would come back and present it. And this guy basically turned in this program, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, bullshit. Like, this is my guy. He's going to present it. So all of a sudden, I give him a chance to write this whole thing up. And the guy tells a story. He goes, I'm a carpet installer by trade. And I got hired to coach this inner city school that hadn't won like a game in 20 years. So he goes, I go in, I'm going to coach. We start with a strength conditioning program, and we had zero equipment. So he's like, I was able to get somebody to sew these bags for the carpets that I had, these huge carpet rolls. And then I went down to the junkyard and I bought Chevy 350 blocks and all these different, axles and all these pieces of a thing. He took a shitty stick welder and he stick welded handles on the engine blocks, handles on all the implements, and basically designed a strength conditioning program based off of carpet rolls and stuff that he got at the junkyard. And it was like heavy carry, heavy hinge, walking lunges. It was everything that we do within a power athlete program, X, Y, and Z axis, push, pull, different, planes of motion, and rotation. And he was using carpet rolls and shit you got from the junkyard. As he's presenting this, like, all of a sudden I got this, like, I don't know, like just a strange feeling, like a humbling feeling, like I was being humbled, like in real time. Whereas, I had taught so many of these seminars and played and done this, and I realized that here was this guy that had taken the CrossFit football knowledge and had done exactly what I'd always intended people to do, which is find a way to implement it with whatever circumstance you have. And I even said to him, I was like, man, I literally brought you up here because I was going to try to land base you, and I feel humbled, and more importantly, like this fucking big. And dude, you're casting a huge shadow, and this is fucking amazing. And what had been wild is he went and he worked with those kids, and they ended up winning games and going on and being a very, very successful program on the back of his work ethic and his creativity. He wasn't limited by, hey, we don't have any money. No problem. I'll figure this out. You shouldn't do this. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And that was probably the greatest expression I found of CrossFit football, power athlete. And when we started sitting down to write this austere program, those were the lessons that I took, that, power athletes, the blueprint of athleticism and, the ability to seamlessly and effortlessly combine primal movement patterns through space to accomplish a known and novel task. There's no actual movements in there, but we do know movement, the ability to seamlessly and effortlessly combine primal movement patterns through space. So how you challenge those primal movement patterns through space is really just, limited by your creativity and what you have access to. And I think we've seen this really manifest in Third Monkey and the Austere Training program.
Yeah, and that was the essence of what we're doing with the course, is to train or teach people movement, the understanding, that blueprint, and encourage you to get creative with this. And then most importantly, this is your opportunity to, whether it's personally within yourself or your athletes, your children, train resilience.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. Like, I've hated this term resilience for years. Every time that I get hired to do a gig for NSW, it was always like, oh, we're teaching resilience. And it felt like just something that the government wanted to see on a piece of paper as a means that, like, they were doing something to help. And I taught a gang of these resiliency seminars, and what it really taught me was resiliency isn't necessarily something that's taught in the confines of a lobby of the Ritz-Carlton. It's not taught at in Hawaii at the Disney Hotel. Resilience is like a mix of like strength, capacity, and tenacity.